The afternoon began like any other Tuesday in Willowbrook Heights, our manicured, gated enclave on the outskirts of Jacksonville. I was in my garage buffing the chrome on my Indian motorcycle while half listening to a conference call with the district attorney's office about a housing board embezzlement case I was advising on. That's when the sirens shattered the calm. Not just one squad car, but three cruisers barreling down our usually uneventful cul-de-sac. Overhead, a police drone buzzed like an angry hornet, its lens trained squarely on my driveway. Out on the lawn, 15-year-old Mason Kett sprawled theatrically across the turf, clutching a neon sports drink and howling as if his final moments had arrived. His mother, Priscilla Kett, the HOA president and self-declared protector of community values, stood beside him in her trademark jogging gear, her arms folded, her smirk sharp enough to slice glass. She jabbed her finger toward me and shrieked accusations about child endangerment, her voice carrying like a battle horn. "That man has traumatized my son," she bellowed as the officers moved in. "He denied Mason his rightful turn on that motorcycle under the Youthful Aspirations statute. I demand you place him under arrest this instant." I kept wiping the handlebars, my Bluetooth still patched through to Assistant District Attorney Lopez, who was catching every syllable of this circus. The officers exchanged uncertain glances, likely because the so-called Youthful Aspiration statute existed only in Priscilla's head. One officer finally stepped forward, approaching me with caution, while I continued projecting my explanation of property rights and due process to Lopez loud enough for the whole block to hear. "My name is Victor Harlan. I'm a semi-retired security strategist who settled in Willowbrook Heights 3 years ago in pursuit of a little peace and quiet. I live for simple things: a mug of strong black coffee, the rumble of my vintage Indian bike, and the gift of uninterrupted quiet. I keep to myself, take care of my property, and follow one guiding principle: leave me be, and I'll do the same for you." Sadly, Priscilla Kett never subscribed to that philosophy. Priscilla had held the HOA presidency for 6 years, reigning over Willowbrook Heights with a velvet glove concealing an iron grip. She once threatened legal action against a neighbor's Labrador for reckless sniffing near her award-winning hydrangeas. Her son, Mason, a full-time video gamer with the physique of week-old pasta, became fixated on my motorcycle after spotting me ride it exactly once. The nonsense started small. First came the cutesy, spiteful notes tucked beneath my windshield wiper, scrawled in glitter gel pen. "Dear homeowner," they always began, "your loud, offensive motorcycle is disrupting the serenity of our family-focused neighborhood." Never signed, of course, but the looping script matched the violation slips she loved scattering around like party favors. Everything came to a head last Tuesday. I was at home, still on that conference call with ADA Lopez about a separate HOA embezzlement case down in Clearwater. We were knee-deep in tracing wire transfers when I caught the sound of metal scraping from the garage. Peering through the blinds, I saw Mason jamming a butter knife into my Indian's ignition, trying to force it to life. The bike lurched, and he went flying straight into my prize azalea shrubs. As if she'd been waiting just off stage, Priscilla appeared in an instant. She rushed him onto the grass, where he launched into another one of his melodramatic performances, groaning, clutching his ribs, the whole production. That's when she dialed 911, loudly claiming I had coerced a minor with militarized transportation. Yes, those were the exact words she used with the dispatcher. The blessing of modern phones is that every second got captured. Ada Lopez heard it all in real time. Priscilla screaming about imaginary bylaws, Mason moaning as though he'd survived a train wreck despite not having a scratch, and my calm voice offering lemonade to anyone who wanted some. The prosecutor's office was getting a live tutorial on false reports and harassment. When the officers pulled up, Priscilla dove into a speech she'd clearly rehearsed about safeguarding children from predatory motorbike owners. She cited something she called the Residential Sovereignty Clause, Section 4B, another law that existed only in her imagination, and demanded my arrest for violating her son's constitutional right to motorcycle ownership. The lead officer, Sergeant Daniels, looked like he was biting the inside of his cheek to keep from laughing. "Ma'am," he said gently, "refusing to hand over your personal property isn't a crime. If anything, your son trying to hotwire the motorcycle is." Priscilla's face went crimson. She ranted about how she'd been building a case file on my antisocial behavior for months, how I was corrupting neighborhood youth with my renegade lifestyle, and how she was prepared to escalate her complaint to the mayor, the governor, maybe even the president himself. That's when Sergeant Daniels squinted at her and said, "Wait, you're the woman who called us about the occult skeleton last Halloween, right?" Turns out, she had once reported a neighbor's plastic yard decoration as an act of satanic recruitment and demanded a tactical unit response. The other officers exchanged looks that spoke volumes. Then they pulled up my security camera feed, which clearly showed Mason breaking into my garage and trying to steal my bike. They reviewed the audio from my phone, which ADA Lopez confirmed he had been recording for training purposes. The evidence was airtight. Mason's botched hot wiring attempt was officially logged as tampering with private property and attempted theft. Priscilla was written up for making a false report and squandering emergency resources. The officers reminded her that fabricating crimes is itself a crime. She tried to insist she was merely fulfilling her obligations as HOA president, but Sergeant Daniels calmly noted that vigilante justice wasn't listed in the association's bylaws. The next HOA meeting had already been scheduled for the following week, and word of Priscilla's latest fiasco spread quickly. I made sure of that by suggesting to ADA Lopez that the meeting be aired on public access television as part of a civic education program. The county loved the idea, said it promoted transparency in neighborhood governance. When the evening came, the community center was packed wall to wall. Neighbors who hadn't set foot at a meeting in years showed up with folding chairs and bags of popcorn. Priscilla tried to command the floor, but board member Linda Chavez immediately moved for a vote of no confidence. Priscilla scrambled, stalling by reading random excerpts from Think and Grow Rich, claiming it granted her executive immunity as a fellow entrepreneur. The vote that followed was tense. 3 members voted to oust her, 2 abstained out of nervousness, and Priscilla voted in favor of giving herself a raise and expanded jurisdiction. Unfortunately for her, she'd never studied the bylaws closely, because all it took was a simple majority. She was officially stripped of her presidency on the spot. As part of a legal agreement to avoid prosecution, Priscilla had to write me a public letter of apology. She attempted to do it in Latin to appear erudite, but her Google Translate skills were lacking. The published letter in our neighborhood newsletter came out roughly as, "My regrets, motorcycle father of wickedness." The entire community printed and framed it. Mason was served a no-contact order, forbidding him from approaching my property. The HOA bylaws were even amended to outlaw what they dubbed aspirational theft, defined as trying to take someone else's belongings just because you really, really want them. Priscilla was also ordered to pay $5,000 in court costs and fines. $5,000, she shrieked in open court. "That's theft. That's extortion. I'll sue every last one of you." The judge, unimpressed, reminded her that threatening to sue the court itself counted as contempt, tacking on another $1,000. Her complexion drained from crimson to chalk white as it sank in that her meager HOA stipend wouldn't even scratch the bill.